For my own personal health and that of my clients that I personally train, I'm always looking to maximize output and minimize time. I stick to nonfiction books, and the latest one that I'm flying through is Built to Move. Built to Move is written by Kelly and Juliet Starrett. They're a married couple and both deep into the health and fitness space. The easiest health hack with limited time but maximum output, and is something that is plaguing most of the first world. The European Journal of Preventive Cardiology released a study findings in 2014. According to that study data, the inability to get up and off the floor without assistance is directly linked to increases in the risk of death. They go on to further say, if you can move in all the different ways that your body requires for you to get up and off the floor with little to no assistance, your body is stable and efficient. Avoid pain and continue to do the activities that you love to do that require physical exertion. Kelly and his wife came up with a simple process to measuring how good or bad this sitting up and standing down can be. Basically, it's just standing feet parallel, hip width. You cross one foot over the other and then try and sit down crisscross applesauce on the floor without needing assistance. And then standing back up, reaching your arms out in front of you, and without assistance of pushing off anything, standing back up to your starting position. This is a 10. Everything that you have to touch to get down to the bottom or the top of this position knocks down a point, and that sort of gives you your starting point of your hip mobility and where you are on this particular tool. So as you can see in the book, as I was saying, starting in this position and then crossing behind, almost like a little bit of a curtsy, you're sitting down into cross-legged and then pushing the hands out in front and coming back to the starting position. If your hip mobility isn't where it needs to be, then it'll lock up on the way down and you'll force to fall. So it's best to start with pushing off and having support on the way up and down, and then progress yourself to doing that without assistance at all. The best way to improve this very important tool is just by doing it. The right angled seated position is only used by a third to maybe a half of the entire world. People in non-Western countries prefer to squat, kneel, or sit cross-legged whether they're waiting for the bus, eating a meal, or taking a poo. This may result in why China has 80 to 90% less arthritic hip pain than us Westerners. Western civilization invented the chair-sitting norm. The chair gained popularity for social ability, not genetic, anatomical, or psychological pushes. When you've been sitting for a long time, your psoas, ischus, quadratus laborum, and rectus femoris stay in a tightened position to keep you stable. And your brain has gotten used to directing them to do so, as spending so much time in a chair. When you stand up after a long period of time, those muscles stay tightened, causing stress and pain on the back. This pulling on the spine creates a lot of discomfort. Here's the simple low time, high output tool. Just by sitting cross-legged on the floor, you're going to move around and be uncomfortable from time to time, and it's going to cause you to move, lengthen, and contract these muscles instead of just being in a tightened state all the time. They recommend in the book doing 30 minutes total throughout the day, so you can break it up in whatever time increments that you choose. I have been adopting this at the evening time when I'm chilling, watching TV or reading. I'll be sitting on the floor and just set a timer for 30 minutes, and throughout those 30 minutes I'm switching the legs that are crossed. I'm sitting with my feet straight out, and these different positions are allowing your brain to get comfortable in your muscles shortening and lengthening instead of just being in a tightened state all day sitting in a chair. And the 30 minutes sitting each day over time, stacking up over a long period of time, will allow your muscles to get that range of motion freedom back and reduce the tightness and strain that's put on your spine when you're sitting for long periods of time. This is a very simple hack. I've put all my family members on it, and I'm putting all of my clients on this weekly homework assignment. This is a simple tool that all it requires is sitting on the floor like the other half of the world that we have drastically gotten away from, and it's causing so many hip and spine pain and issues that aren't necessary. Once you develop this habit, it's going to be seamless, and it feels good being in that position, and you feel the muscles being tightened a lot more when you're sitting in a normal chair position. It'll force you to actually want to be in that seated position. I've been doing this for about 3 weeks, and my hips are super tight, but they have already loosened up, and I started at the score of around 7, trying to get up and down off the floor. My biggest problem was, again, the tight hips, where they would lock up on the way down, and I would sort of just fall to the ground. I think everyone can benefit from doing this. It's just 30 minutes of the day, and it doesn't have to be in a row. You can segment it out throughout the day. If you haven't yet rated Atomic Habits, it's helped me just with this one tool of just habit stacking. So if you have a habit that you're already doing, saying it's reading every day, saying it's watching TV, something chill, then stack on top of that when you're doing that, you're also sitting. And just make it for 30 minutes and allow your body to, if it gets uncomfortable, which it will in the beginning if you haven't done this for a long time, allow it to move in these different positions and move your legs in a different way. That's the whole goal of this. Your body is in a chair all day and it's staying in that comfortable place, and then your brain is being triggered to think that it's okay, but these muscles are getting tightened, and it's going to cause a lot more arthritis and spine and hip problems down the line. So getting into the seated position more often will feel better, and I promise you after 2 weeks you'll actually be looking forward to do it. If you know anything about changing your diet, lifestyle, and workout habits, after a couple weeks it's seamless and you don't even think about it. But for these next 2 weeks, every day, 30 minutes sitting on the floor, move around as you need to, lean forward, just really open up. And I promise you, it'll change the game. It's only been 3 weeks for me, and I already noticed differences in my hip flexors and my spine, and it allows me to want and chase that freedom now that I understand that it can just be a simple thing of sitting on the ground for 30 minutes each day and have a lot of output on my longevity of my joints, spine. And when you're in these seated positions, make sure you're breathing through your nose, filling up your big stomach cavity, and trying to get relaxed in them. The quicker that your brain understands that this is a relaxed state, the quicker that the muscles you need to lengthen will follow. Again, this is vital sign number 1, one of the first chapters from Built to Move by Kelly and Juliet Starrett. Highly recommend the book if you are into fitness reading. If not, just stay tuned to this channel. I'm going to keep pushing out every tip that they give in this book because there's a lot of great things. Next week, I'm going to talk about how many vegetables you need and how big of an impact on this. Scientific studies done, not being able to sit and stand off the ground can drastically affect the longevity of your life and can affect the longevity of your hip, spine, and those 4 important muscles I mentioned that control a lot to do with your mobility. Get after it. Let me know in the comments how you feel after trying it, and I'll talk to you next week. Peace. Another tip that they mentioned, besides sitting just cross-legged or legs out, is the 90-90 stretch. It works on your hip mobility. So back leg, 90 degrees, front leg, 90 degrees, and then whatever knee is down in front of you, take the opposite arm and try and get that elbow to your ankle on that foot. Again, I'm super tight, but trying to get your chest over this calf and then getting that elbow down to the toes or ankle to start with, and switching. Holding 20 to 30 seconds. Again, super tight, but if anything, just start crisscross applesauce and you'll be able to eat applesauce a lot longer. I'll see you next week for another tip. Peace.